We appreciate the opportunity that you have allowed us, you and Dr. McCarty, to come before you, the TCRDF Emerging ERI and HBCU Consortium. And we are glad to be able to talk about the things that we have done together and how those things may be of benefit to the different missions that are being executed by the ERIs as well as HBCUs. So I will share my screen and we will uh, go from there. Okay, then can you see my screen now?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Again, we thank you for allowing us the opportunity to speak to you today. Um, uh, Mr. Rosenthal talked about the history that we have with the TCRDF and the successes that we've had with the National Institute of Health on a biomedical research facility. But stepping back a little bit, our history goes back even further. We've had teaming relationships, and we have submitted white papers for different opportunities, and we try to find opportunities where we can be an add-in support to the TCRDF, and then TCRDF also can be a support to the ERIs and HBCUs that are in their consortium. So my name is Derek Starling. I'm one of the principals of SOL Engineering Services. I am a licensed professional engineer as well as a fellow with the Society of American Military Engineers and a few other designations. But to tell you a little bit about SOL, we'll start there and we'll talk very slow and deliberate so that we can have opportunities that everything that we're saying is not in a speed or delivery speed that is not have the opportunity to entertain real-time questions if that was what we need. Who is SOL? SOL is a federal and state, municipal, and local business contractor that we've been doing business for 25 years, delivering federal engineering, research, development, test, and evaluation solutions, and program and project management for our customers. We also want to talk about our capabilities and past performance. And then we'll talk a little bit about the opportunities that TCRDF has identified to you and that we have supported them in, and hopefully we can support them going further and you going further with efforts that we can collectively do in order to expand the horizon for everybody. And then we'll talk about different partnership models that we have employed in the past, and then how we as the TCRDF, SOL, and then other institutions can engage, and then practical next steps. About SOL, we were founded in 2001 in Jackson, Mississippi. We are a federal hub zone small business. We are a small disadvantaged business under the rules of the small disadvantaged business. We are certified. We have quality management systems, environmental management systems that are certified to international standards. Also, we are CMMC certified as far as our cyber maturity model certification. We were recognized in 2015 as the Mississippi Small Business of the Year. And last year, or year before last, we were recognized by the National Small Business Administration as one of the 60, 70 legacy small businesses in the country over the last 50 years of SBA activities that they supported small business in the country. So we were one of 70 nationwide. We have been voted best place to work here in various polls. And we have approximately about 100 employees who are engineers, scientists, and program managers. And then we also have about additional 25 more contractors and interns. And we have 9 offices across 25 states that we do our service deliveries, to include Alaska, Hawaii, as Guam and the Wake Islands, in addition to the Oconus United States that we serve on a lot of projects each month. Our core areas that we stake our hat on includes four areas: engineering and infrastructure, research, development, test, and evaluation support, technical program and cyber support, and facilities and mission support. And under those areas we have listed here, you can see the various things that we do, but we do more than this, but these are just some of the top line areas that we participate in. Are there any questions so far? Thank you. Our federal client portfolio, in the last 25 years, we have worked as a prime contractor um, for the Army Corps of Engineers, the United States Army Materiel Command, the Defense Logistics Agency, Navy Facilities Engineering Command, FEMA, uh, the Department of Agriculture, as well as the National Resource Conservation Services, um, U.S. Army Installation Management Command, National Ground Intelligence Center, United States Air Force, HUD, as well as Federal Transit Administration, and industry team and partners. These are just a few that we listed, but we also team, in addition with TCRDF, we team with other large national AE service firms, DoD contracting firms, and Jacobs, Lockheed Martin, AECOM, and a lot of Booz Allen Hamilton. So we do a lot of work around the country with different installations for the federal government, as well as different teaming partners where we work as either a prime contractor and they sub to us, or we work as a teaming partner where we sub to them, or we have joint ventures where we are equal and we're in joint ventures with some of the firms listed here. Uh, as far as our past performance in the research, development, test, and evaluation marketplace, we're currently now performing on about $90 million of research work spread across 6 concurrent research programs. Most of these contracts are BPAs or 5-year programs where we provide services in the art research, development, test, and evaluation area. One of the things that's very critical as we talk today is we see a lot of opportunity, and we have been exploiting opportunities not only for ourselves but also for our teaming relationships, to include TCRDF and other HBCUs, ERIs, and we work with other universities all across the country also. Um, we currently have work going on with Georgia Tech, Mississippi State University, Tougaloo, uh, Drake State, Alabama A&M, and Jackson State, and we work with a lot of entities across the country in the Southeast. But one of the things that we want to make sure that we state today is that one of the ways that is the ERIs and HBCUs can expand their footprint is to through our active contracts, and we are have 2 active contracts with the OASIS program. OASIS Plus, we have a small business contract and we have a Hub Zone contract. And those contracts are what they consider GWAC, government-wide acquisition vehicles, that a lot of different activity has been moved to. And these ceilings on these contracts are in the billions of dollars, which means that um, we can get contracts as large as 100 million at a time, which is probably too big for us to get at one time. But if we happen to have landed something or land something that size, these contract vehicles can accommodate that. So if you don't have it in your vocabulary, put that in your vocabulary. Oasis Plus, Oasis Small Business are 2 vehicles that we have that we team with not only industry partners, but in some cases we team with universities and HBCUs because of the mix of technical expertise that you have. As far as GSA award multiple schedules, we have a GSA professional engineering schedule, and we just won a contract with the Missile Defense Agency for the next 10 years for a SHIELD, MDA SHIELD contract. Seaport E, which is a Navy vehicle, and then various IDIQs and nationwide MATOC contracts. The Air Force Civil Engineering Center contract is a $2 billion MATOC that we do work off of currently. As far as identifiers, and certifications, our primary NAICS codes are engineering services, engineering, research and development, environmental consulting, technical and scientific consulting, management consulting, and facility support. And then there you see other things that we have there. Any questions so far? So now that we have talked about who we are, we want to talk a little bit about the landscape and how we can participate with the teamwork and team relationship that we have with TCRDF. Is the federal research landscape for ERIs and HBCUs, as Dr. Rosenthal talked about early on, is a growing marketplace, a growing federal commitment. There are different pathways and different pools of money to include the DoD and different specific research programs. Also, the new and improved SBIR, STTR pathways. The STIR pathway has been reauthorized, and we've taken a hard look at that, and we think that there's a lot of opportunity there. But the bar is rising, and what do we mean by that? One of the challenges that we consistently face is the project sponsors. They expect compliance with the FARs and the DFARs. They expect a high level of integration, readiness, and planning. And then there are also clear paths from our research lanes to proposals and capabilities that we found that a few of the ERIs and HBCUs can actually stand up alone. Now, is great work taking place with ERIs and HBCUs that you're doing alone, but we're finding to fully maximize the opportunities, we have to work together. So one of the reasons for our conversation today is to just tell you about some of the successes we've had working together, and then how do we provide additional capabilities to TCRDF and by way of TCRDF to you for things that we see in the execution, in some cases, the execution gaps that we see that need to be filled. We talked about there's a $3.3 billion annual spend eligible for HBCUs and participation pathways. And there are 5 phases that we can participate. And then we talked a little bit about the way that we can do that. And we'll go further. Any questions so far? The benefits of a commercial partnership that we typically participate in is that we try to work to bridge research innovation and making sure that we can move that to mission ready federal delivery. A lot of the universities have a lot of innovation. We execute, and then we also make sure the sponsors receive a mission ready outcome. Now, for clarity purposes, we do all 3 of these blocks for ourselves all the time. But we found out that there are some capabilities that exist on the colleges and university campuses that also make us stronger. But there are also some typical performance, I wouldn't say deficiencies, but performance expectations that a lot of times the colleges and universities may not know that they struggle with, but from what we are seeing, they struggle with a little bit. And what do I mean by that? A lot of times the colleges may be operating on a semester basis. There may be a lot of your research may be tied to professors who also have a class load. It may be that in the summertime and during the breaks, Easter break, Thanksgiving break, the Christmas break, in the summer, that a lot of things come to a slower pace, to take place at a slower pace at the universities and colleges. this is one of the main complaints that we hear from a lot of the federal agencies is that we like working with the colleges and universities, but those that are successful are those that understand the speed of business, the timeliness of business, and they operate as if they were a real business year round. And that's where we have, I think, a lot of things that we can work together to make sure that those gaps are filled and make sure that the customer does not see any degradation in activities once they award to the TCRDF or to you or to SOL and we bring in a ERI or HBCU, that there is not a gap from award to execution and project closeout. There's a smooth process. Uh, and we talked about here on this particular slide what universities typically excel at, and then how we work with execution and integration, and then the outcomes that the federal government could expect with this partnership. The universities, TCRDF, the universities plus SOL equates to the government receiving their mission outcomes, that we can develop those funding requirements, we can develop those relationships, and then we can get additional work with the acquisition authorities, that it can have a growth process. And one of the things that we always try to do is look at the technology readiness levels. And these levels are used by NASA, as well as DOD and Department of Energy and other federal agencies. And basically looking at that, understanding that the technology readiness levels go from stage 1 through stage 9. And a lot of times we can help uh, do assessments and do analytical reviews of colleges and universities to understand on certain efforts that we're trying to undertake. So it doesn't mean that in all of your particular applied research you're at the same level, but in certain types of research you may be a 1, and some you may be a 9. But we assess that, and then the things that we try to do together with TCRDF is an augmentation of what you're doing, and not just coming in and providing services that are not needed or that you already can do yourself. Common challenges. Again, we talked about the IDIQs that we have. You may have limited access to federal IDIQs and BPAs, and we have that. And you are locked out of the fast track cycle of task orders. In the last 12 months, the actual task order process is moving at warp speed. The traditional request for information, and then a proposal coming out, and then an actual proposal coming out, and then an actual proposal being done by a private entity or a college or university or a that is not at the same quantity anymore. Most of the work coming out is on readily available vehicles that somebody already have, that are set up now to move fast. Oasis, Oasis Plus, MDA Shield, GSA Schedule, and some of the GWACs is where ERIs and HBCUs need to be uh, concentrating on making sure they have access to. As far as compliance to the FARs, uh, there's a lot going on now that has to be met as far as your cost accounting standards, your DCAA and DCMA cost accounting systems, and then your audited rates, and then different CMMC and other audit ready systems are not only have to be done by people in private industry, but the colleges and universities have that same scrutiny also, and there is a burden. And then also the research to deployment gap, where a lot of the research you may start off doing, we find that colleges and universities very rarely take that to levels, technology readiness levels 7 through 9. And then they don't end up scaling up, integrating, and then putting those technologies and research to use where the university, college, or the consortium, or the relationship benefits. So you may do a lot of research and then somebody else get the ideal and then they benefit from it. And then we talked about a few minutes ago, limited federal sponsor relationships. everything depends on year-round customer engagement. And a lot of times, as we talk, the academic schedules can't always support. And then the capacity to compete on large proposals. An academic driven proposal is good and it a lot of time can be funded. But if the government is looking for research solutions or solutions in general, the ability to produce these large proposals that are comprehensive and they answer the sections L and M that are in the solicitation, it takes a lot of work and a lot of resources. And we often help do that. Plus, we know we do it for ourselves. And then speed to execution pressure. Sponsors want 30-day task order awards now. University typically can't move that fast without an industry partner. Our value proposition for TCRDF and ERIs and HBCUs, and that Dr. Rosenthal and I have talked about often, is compliance and contract performance, access to federal contracting vehicles where we need support from HBCUs and ERIs, engineering and R&D bench strength. We employ a lot of subject matter experts, and we are hired as subject matter experts in the work that we do. It can help engage with your subject matter experts and your staff to make sure that the work that they are doing is done in a manner that is sufficient to please the performance work statement that you have, and also the quality requirements that are on the task order for delivery. And then also the HBCU workforce pipeline. We do internships, and we also embed engineers with team and partners. And then we also a lot of times help meet the requirements that require clearance eligible workforce, uh, and that can be also augmented to your faculty and to your students. So currently now we have I think 5 interns from various schools, HBCUs, that are on tap for this summer, working on various programs, both on a commercial and government standpoint, but also in partnership with some PWIs as well as HBCUs. And the outcomes that you can expect is a higher capture rate per proposal, faster pathway to capturing research as well as executing phase 2 and phase 3 in the SBIR, and STTR program, and then repeated task orders under the same vehicles, and then sponsor relationships that go from year to year to year. And then also where we see a lot of struggling is when requirements have a clear workforce requirement, um, training up your facility security person and making sure that you understand fully how to manage those programs, and then how we can support you in doing that. As far as HPC and digital engineering and advanced manufacturing, where SOL federal research portfolio overlaps directly with some of the things that you are doing. John, can you jump in and talk a little bit about that?
I'm sorry, repeat that again, please.
Yeah, John Cole, can you jump in and talk a little bit about that?
Wrong.
Yeah, you can see we have the high performance computer modelization program that we've been doing for many years now. But we have a very, I think, a very aggressive modeling and simulation approach. Um, we're taking the physics and marrying it up with a digital approach using AI and all of that. Everything we do is we pushed our technology. Emerging technologies are always in our solutions and everything we do now. We have a lot of work within the advanced manufacturing space. A lot of digital twin and digital thread development we're working with, and AI, ML application and manufacturing processes design. Well, we can look at a process, we model the processes, the manufacturing processes, and we're able to look at the whole scope of manufacturing from the supply chain through the factory and then the customer service as well, with a pretty aggressive reliability program that we've developing. There's a lot of on the other side, the AE side, we have a lot of sensing and geospatial activity that goes on. A lot of that stuff has been going on for 20 years, and what SOL has been doing has been really working hard to take advantage of emerging technologies as they come available, as we make them available, really.
Appreciate
And
it, John.
finally,
Yeah,
yes.
appreciate that. And what basically John is saying is that there is a lot of high performance subject matter experts behind the scene that we have in our company, but we've also made these available to our partnerships, to the TCRDF. We've also made these available to other partnerships that we have around the country, teaming relationships and partnerships, because a lot of times you have excellent staff and faculty that have a lot of great ideals, but a lot of times they have not been on the opposite end of moving that past theory into actual applied science and implementation. And so what this slide is meant to be, and John Kolb is the Director of Engineering Development. I forgot to say that, and I appreciate that, John, for you jumping in. But we have a lot of different ways by which we can provide subject matter expertise, but only in the context of supporting and growing TCRDF's efforts and supporting and growing anything that we collectively do with ERIs and HBCUs. Partnership map models that work, like we talked about, SOL as prime. We have contracts, we get work, but a lot of times we sign up what we call teaming partners or subcontractors, and we want to have access to more SMEs. And so the more we can work with emerging ERIs and HBCUs, the more we can have access to different experts around the country where we pay you a check. Well, we do work and we pay you a check. We manage the project because it's projects that typically we would get anyway, but we have access to people in your portfolio to make all of us stronger. And second way that we can work is us as a subcontractor to a relationship that with TCRDF and the teammates that are on the consortium. And then we can also look, we do a lot of joint capture and joint teaming efforts. So we're collectively, we put our heads together and figure out how we can jointly pursue a specific opportunity, and how we can look at the teaming agreements that codifies our roles to the point that we can be successful in that particular pursuit. Again, the reauthorization of the STTR program, we do these applications and we include a lot of universities, and we have included TCRDF on these in the past also. And then also we talked about our engineers being embedded in places where they can help support things that you may have going on and help be that consistent driver of execution when some of the university-related activities may require you to slow down because of availability to students or availability to staff. These are areas that we think. I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, Derek, I'm sorry. While you have a little lull, let me throw a question in here to you that we have a few questions that come in.
Okay.
The first one we have here is, are there any opportunities to partner on emergency management contracts?
Okay, good question. We currently are on, since Hurricane Katrina, which was 2005, 2006, we have been working on national FEMA-related disaster recovery contracts. So we are currently a partner on a nationwide vehicle for certain regional parts of the country, because in the original configuration, the emergency management community would respond based upon disasters, and then the FEMA and other entities would select people nationwide. And so when we got into a particular disaster, it was kind of disorganized. About, you had people from the West Coast deploying to Puerto Rico, you had people from the East Coast deploying for fires in California. So now there's been a rationalization at the federal level. So they give regional contracts, and so we have regional contracts that we support. And what we typically do, we have a roster of available people. And then if we get called on for a particular effort, we shop that effort within our roster of people that have been cleared and ready to deploy. And we select people based on that particular arrangement there in order to react to these type of disasters.
Well, we'll follow up with the individual who submitted that question. If they are interested in a further conversation with SOL, we'll make sure that happens.
And the roster is called a DART roster, is what we maintain. At one point, we had about 300 people on the DART roster, but over time, that has gone significantly lower because of the work that we've done. And we have worked Superstorm Sandy. We worked a lot of the hurricanes and fires around the country, and we worked a lot of the hurricanes in the Caribbean also.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Oh, you have any more questions?
Not right. Yeah, I do have a few more, but let's go ahead with your slides.
Okay, thank you. And we talked about the actual potential federal support areas for ERIs and HBCUs, and these 5 areas are work that we are doing, but there's a lot of opportunities, as you talked about, Mr. Rosenthal, a lot of opportunities for HBCUs to participate where they're not participating, for ERIs to participate. And so these are areas that we already have a footprint in, and you may have a footprint in, you may see opportunities. So there's a lot of opportunity. And also, by us being a hub zone small business, the FAR has changed where we can get direct awards. And also bring on team partners in order to do that work. Workforce development. We talked about that before. Internships, embedded engineers, and the cleared workforce built with you, and it helps feed your students. With internships, clearance eligible hires, embedded engineers, we can help also with crosswalks so that your curriculum is aligned such that we can, go in, and this is a good talking point here. We analyze a lot of ERIs and HBCUs curriculum and also their equipment and their labs and their facilities. And we got a crosswalk methodology that we developed that we can kind of see exactly where your strengths are, and then map that to some of the requirements that are being needed in especially DoD and sometimes like DEFCON and other places. We have mapped, and then it helps you to be more focused about what you're going after. I know that as a research institution, there may be a lot of programs within your university or college that you do go after, but we can help you work with the TCRDF to do the alignment such that you can have a more positive impact by utilizing your strengths while you're still working on things that you want to grow at your college or university. And then execution risk is the major thing that we see where the value added can be added. Execution risk is what we get the most complaints about for universities, is that they don't move at the speed of real business. They don't take advantage of the capacity that are contract vehicles that they've been given, or in some cases, they don't price their work in order to really make money and grow their research footprint because they're underpricing their work. We talked about this before. What ERIs and HBCUs can gain by partnering with TCRDF and with SOL. This is just a summary across the funding, performance, capacity, and the reputation areas. Higher funding capture, faster award cycles. Now the cycle is 30 to 60 days versus the old cycle of 6 to 12 months. Sustained relationship with your sponsors year over year so you can get repeat task orders and not one and done grants. Compliance and audit coverage, helping you understand how to absorb the FAR, DFAR challenges, the CMMC challenges, and then the ISO quality standard challenges. We absorb the contract risk so faculty can focus on the science, and then your workforce and recruitment pipeline, making sure that the students at your university are prepared to be cleared, they're mission capable graduates, and then also through internships and recurrent internships through a lot of the programs that you could capture, it would help you have a better outcome for your students, and also that can be visible to your sponsors and also to your recruiters for talent. And then strategic mission capability mapping with tailored crosswalks that align your investment with your sponsors' priorities. We see a hand.
Ms. Gordon Bray, you've got the recruitment pipeline. That one causes some accolades, but if I can back up just a little bit, you had talked about the faster award cycle. How long do you say y'all been doing this? Can you hear me?
You said, how long have we been doing this?
Yes.
25 years.
Good. So, is this different? Is this different than when we were doing the fast track Tiger teams during the first 4 years of OIF, OEF? Is there a real system change, or is the current conflict basically put us back in the same rapid cycle? So in other words, is this war? Is this a? Do you see this as a conflict, system change, the same thing repeated, or is this something very new?
Well, what we're seeing is with the new administration, a radical rewriting of some of the FAR and some of the desire to get things done quickly, to lower cost, to get things done more effectively. And I'm not saying that it has not always been there, but each administration has different priorities. And so what we've seen when this happened, first started at the beginning of the current administration, is that they said they were going to do some things, but it was business as usual. But the things that they have rewritten and the way they are operating now, everything is being pushed toward these government-wide acquisition vehicles and pushed toward certain outcomes and measurements. And so that's what we're seeing, that as you have learned to play over the last 25 years, the old system, if you play that system, you're going to be left at the gate now if you don't have access to some of the new GWACs and other things that are going on. And I think, Mr. Rosenthal, you may jump in.
Well, yeah, what I was going to add to that is there are some new things now, but there are some old things too that we're talking about. Some of the vehicles he's mentioned earlier, like the GSA schedule and the IDIQ. IDIQ is not new. Indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. That's not new, but it's something that SOL and other companies who hold those vehicles competed for them, won them, and they have the ability to produce a contract within 30 days.
Yeah.
We can go from concept to idea to literally a contract award within 30 days. That's sort of unheard of in the academic arena, where we apply for grants.
What I was getting at was, are we really looking at a true system change, or something that is, because have we seen laws change, or we just seen policy changes? Because we had the policy changes before, and that puts us always at this whim of the administration for the moment. That's kind of what I'm looking at, because that means in 2 years it's going to flex again. That's my concern.
I hear you, General. But some of the things they're talking about, some of these vehicles have been in place for many years.
Okay.
And they are not at the whim of the administration in power. What's different here is a lot of our academic institutions are not aware of those
Yes.
vehicles and don't have access to them. They don't own them themselves, and they haven't
That,
built the partnerships with those who do own those type vehicles.
and that leads itself to the second part, which I was talking about the pipeline, because he talked about something very critical, which is getting clearances and
Right.
getting students who are mission ready so that one, we teach them something that's going to last from the time they're freshmen to the time that they're seniors with internships in between so they do come out mission ready. So we take a freshman, give him some interns between his sophomore and junior years. So when he comes out, he knows that's a possibility. That's that's kind of the piece I want to talk to, because I and if possible, doable. If I could, if he can kind of give me a timeline for clearances that he's seen from some of his folks, and do they start trying to get them when they're freshmen with clearances, or do they wait till they get on the project that requires a specific clearance? That's what I was asking for, because that's something that
Let, let, let,
that's something we
let me
can
let me
put our
ask let
hands
me let me ask something on that same line, Derek. When you talk about that, will you give us some examples of how you've seen that happen at Mississippi State University? I mean, General Bray, I think Mississippi State University does that probably as well as anybody else in the country. But
on.
what we want to do here is introduce those type concepts and opportunities to HBCUs and ERIs who don't have the staff and the capability of a Mississippi State to do that type thing.
Absolutely.
And to add to what your question and what Dr. Rosenthal talked about on currently now, and we keep interns year round. Some of them start out as freshmen, and then we have, I think, one or two that may be in graduate school now, going to graduate school. Um, Typically, in the old system, you brought them in. If you had a clearance as a company, you could find something to kind of stick them on in order to get them the opportunity to start the process of trying to get a clearance. That process has been greatly tightened up in the last few years. So typically now we try to find a contract, and we try to have that student doing some assignable work that can help us go ahead and start that process, and then assign that person to that particular contract, even if it's on a limited role. When that clearance is when that person is needed to deal with things on that contract that you need a clearance, then that process will already be taking place. And then we do a lot of talking to the students at different universities and colleges about basic things such as don't get all of these credit cards that the people are offering you, and then don't pay them back timely, and then you go for a clearance and you flag out because of credit issues. So it's an education process on the start, and then it's a process of walking through students from freshman to whenever the clearance is needed, and then processing them in the system and getting them a clearance. But the more work that requires a clearance that we can engage in, the more kids that we can help in that process of staying clean and then getting the clearances.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
Derek, normally we have about another 10 minutes. If and we'd love to get to a few questions, but I know you have a few more slides.
Well, I have just this side here, and I think that was a good lead in and a good opportunity to talk about something specific, which is a near and dear to us, is to have a workforce and recruitment pipeline. Uh, Over the course of years, SOL has probably hired 25 kids out of Jackson State engineering program. And we saw those kids through the Society of American Military Engineering, where we sponsored the student post there. We sponsored the student post at Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Jackson State. And so we have an opportunity to see those kids, engage with them, invite them into our offices for internships, and then they end up being full-time employees. And so we have one or two that are started in June that went through that process of internships and then hiring. But we can only hire so many kids based on work, but we still want them to be prepared to even go into other companies, because our goal is to make sure they're ready for the workforce and not just ready for SOL, because that's our mission to the ERIs and HBCUs, is to try to make sure all of their people that come through that participate in some of the efforts are ready to go, whether we hire them or not. And finally, practical next steps. Interested institutions should schedule a conversation with TCRDF and SOL to discuss any individual pursuit or capture plan. Again, we have a history with TCRDF. We've had successes. We have a history ourselves with work in the federal marketplace. But as a small business, there are SMEs that we know you don't. One thing you don't do is put a bunch of people on payroll when you don't have work for them to do. And a good way to have SMEs is to have access to those SMEs at the ERIs and HBCUs, but at the same time, have a system where we can make sure that the work that we capture, we have a capture plan, we capture the work, and then we execute it to a point where we want to have repeat customers for not only for us, but also for the HBCUs, or in some cases, we help them to have repeat work for themselves. It's just a matter of whatever relationship that has been set up between TCRDF, SOL, and the ERIs and HBCUs. And then we thank you for this opportunity today, and it went a little longer than we expected, but we're open for any questions, and John, we're open for any things you may want to add.
There are a couple of questions. First of all, I just want to thank you guys for such an informative conversation. You did use a lot of acronyms that some of us may not understand. IDIQ, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract, which is a very good vehicle. FAR, Federal Acquisition Regulation, those are rules and regulations that you must go by. DFAR, the Defense Federal Acquisition Regulation, whoosh. DCAA, the audit requirements, CMMC, cybersecurity maturity. There's just a lot of things, but I'm saying those things because these are terms that we need to know in the community, and where we don't know them, we partner with SOL. He spits these things out like he's saying his ABCs, and that's because he and his team are very familiar with the compliance requirements in the government that we may have some challenges. A couple quick questions, Derek. One I can answer right away. One is, are there opportunities for other nonprofits and small businesses to join projects with SOL and TCRDF? Absolutely. Absolutely. info@tcrdf.org, or just put it in the chat. Who would like to schedule, as Derek said with his last slide, who would like to schedule that conversation? And the purpose of that conversation is to really develop an individual plan that's geared toward your particular entity, so that we can help you find the things that you're seeking and how we can help make that happen. But there's a couple of questions here. One is, someone is interested in AI in education. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but is that something that SOL can help with? All I have here is AI in education.
Artificial intelligence.
Well, I'm guessing that means artificial intelligence in K through 12 or colleges, or other elements of education, other elements of academic institutions other than STEM.
Yes, there's a lot of opportunity, because in any project that we have, which we started out in the old days with machine learning, and then now it's graduated to AI with a lot more powerful tools and a lot more powerful computing power. But any project, in addition to the science that you're using on, it has a componentry that includes all of the standard study areas that may be in an institution, or maybe in some cases in a high school, because you have different people in the supply chain that makes that particular application work. One of the things that John Cole does, he develops applications, and a lot of those applications are for typical business problems. But we didn't start out trying to develop applications for typical business problems. We started out trying to solve a technical problem or a challenge. But in the process of doing that, we end up knowing that there was a need to solve a small problem that was a basic problem. So there are opportunities, and how do you do that? We see a lot of requests now from different K-12 districts as well as colleges about how they integrate that into their curriculum and how they integrate that into their workflows.
So if someone was interested in developing a proposal, let's say for NSF or some other agency, then SOL would be available to partner with them to shape their proposal to then implement AI into K-12 or post K-12 curriculum.
Let me make sure that's a double-edged question. Obviously, we're available for certain types of opportunities, but we have to measure those opportunities to make sure first of all, we are the ones that can add you the best value. And then secondly, we're not on something that has a very long beginning to maturity to payoff cycle. So we have to look at those opportunities, and then together we try to, make a realistic expectation of, the level of effort versus the payoff cycle, so that we won't, get caught in a never-ending cycle of a lot of different things going on and not being focused on the mission.
Sounds like a very good commercial answer. Thank you. Here's another question. It says automotive system engineering and software development, optimizing and leveraging AI. Can you help in that area, automotive system engineering?
Yep. John Cole, who's the director of engineering development, he's on the call, as well as myself. We came out of the automotive industry years ago, and we still are in the automotive industry in a lot of areas utilizing those techniques. So a lot of the vehicular stuff is going on, the advanced vehicular science stuff going on. We are participating in that now, but we didn't put that on our, that's kind of couched up under our manufacturing product and energy group. So we do those types of things now. You just need to understand a little bit more about the exact areas.
We'll set that up. One final question that I have is, will these slides be available?
Yes, sir. They will be available after probably the first thing in the morning. We'll go through them again to make sure and scrub them for anything that will be of confuse and try to correct that based on conversation we had today. And then we'll send them out to yourself and Dr. McCarty so they can distribute to the people on the call.
Thank you so much. I'd like to say thank you and acknowledge General Arnold Gordon Bray. General Bray is a very active member of the TCRDF Business Advisory Board. Many years in the Army, very passionate about HBCUs, knows a lot of people, and can be very helpful. It is very helpful to us in establishing contacts in the Department of Defense and helping us to identify problems and identify solutions. And as we said earlier, and as most of you on here know, partnerships and relationships actually work, especially when you're talking to the federal sector. People want to deal with people they know and trust. And people like generals like Gordon Bray, who've been in the Army for all those years, not only do they recognize the problems, they can recognize the solutions. He got to be a general because he solved those problems. So General Gordon Bray, thank you so much for participating. We're so happy that we have you on our call today.
Appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much.
Once again, if you're interested in developing a partnership with SOL and TCRDF, just send us a note to info@TCRDF. We'll have a conversation with you and see if we can develop an individual pursuit plan that is strictly for you, based on your interest, your experience, your capability, and your desires. Thank you all. Stay tuned. We'll be back again in June with another one of these webinars.